unstoppable kick-ass confidence. Are you ready?
Welcome to the Raw and Unscripted show with Christopher Rausch, where we help you overcome your self-created crap without the self-help fluffy bullshit. Now please welcome our host, Christopher Rausch.
And please welcome to the show, Christopher Rausch. Don't you love that announcement? What's up, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls? It is I, your No Excuses coach, here, back with another episode of the Raw and Unscripted show with Christopher Rausch, here where I help you overcome your self-created crap without the self-help fluffy bullshit. Thank you guys for being here, whether you're live or on the replay. This is the video cast version of it. And as always, 1 week after the show comes out, it comes out on podcasts. So check it out on Apple Tunes, on Spotify, on iHeart, wherever it is that you get your podcasts. Do me a solid and go subscribe to that. I'll put the link inside the show here so you guys can make sure you get that. But thank you for being here again, once again, whether you're live or on the replay. We appreciate you guys being here. And truth be told, let's just check this out. Truth be told, we are on episode 162. 162. I don't ever do that. Like some podcasters sit there and say, oh, we're on episode, one, whatever. We're on 162. We've been going since January of 2019. I actually did this show right before I went in for back surgery, and you could actually tell on the you can actually see it on the broadcast. I look kind of messed up because I'm all sorts of painkillers and shit like that. But anyways, the Raw and Unscripted show is here for you to have raw and unscripted conversations designed to move you forward in your confidence and your empowerment and your ability to just navigate life and to fly your freak flag. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being here. We're going to have a great show for you tonight. There's something I want to draw to your attention, and I'm going to draw to your attention that Randy Chaffee's in the house. He says, good evening, brother. What's up, Randy? What's up, Kickass Randy? How are you doing? Truthfully, how are you doing? I hope you're shining your light, man, because you got a brilliant light. You got a brilliant soul. We got to be making sure we do that for one another. And tonight's broadcast is going to be great. So make sure you have something to write with. And as always, be sure to ask us questions and engage with us here in the comments, because we love this. This is a conversation between all of us. We're sitting in a bar. We're sitting in a coffee shop. We're sitting and we're crocheting mittens for polar bears. I don't know what it is we're doing, but we're just having a good time, and we're expanding our mindsets, and we're going out there and we're being a part of the solution and not part of the problem. And with that, I've got lots of solutions coming up for you guys. Lots and lots of solutions. So I'm going to direct your attention here for a second. Yes, I am working on, I made an announcement on Facebook. And by the way, I'm still in Facebook jail. My original Facebook profile with nearly 5,000 listeners or viewers or friends, whatever you fucking call them. Don't call them that. They're my friends. That one's still in Facebook jail. And so I'm using a secondary one. Yeah, I announced the other day that as my coach has advised me that I'm not a big person into products. I coach, and that's what I do. I coach and I speak and I write books and I do these podcasts. I've never been a big course person or a group coaching person, but at the urgence of my coach, and to be able to work with other people and work with people in different financial capacities, I'm going to be putting some courses together, some courses that you can actually download, you can buy, you can download, and you can go through those courses and kind of progress with me through my whole entire program. So I'm putting that content together, and that's something that has been in demand for probably since 2010. Truth be told, I've got tons of content. I just haven't been that type of a product person. It's like, if you want to work with me, great. Otherwise, you can check out the show. It's no big deal. So I'm going to be putting that content together. And what I want to share with you, because you guys are my misfits for life. You guys are my my fans, my crew. So here on my website, if you guys go to ChristopherRausch.com, you'll see this beautiful website. You can see where I'm coaching. You can see all the different coaching programs I have. You can see my media, my video cast, and actually my old radio show. You can see my events. You can see my speaking stuff. But if you go over here to the contact page, you see this little thing that says sign up. Little thing that says sign up right there. If you go there, you're going to come to this page and it's going to say join my coaching newsletter. First name, last name, email, subscribe. I think if my web designer is awake, I think you get a download with that as well. God's honest truth, I'm not a newsletter person. I'm just raising another. I'm not a newsletter person. However, with being in Facebook jail for 3 times now, at the urgency again of my coach is I need to connect with you guys. So if you guys are truly, truly interested in being a part of the Misfit Nation, go there, fill out the form, get on my newsletter. God's honest truth, I'll probably send maybe 6 newsletters out this year, but I will be doing more of them. And in that, I'm going to be asking you guys to come aboard and try out those courses, try out those programs at a very, very drastically discounted rate. I'm just being transparent with you guys. It's the way I roll. You guys know that. So I'm going to be doing it at a very discounted rate for those people that are on my mailing list. So it's a way to get you guys in there to make sure that we never lose touch. It's not about me selling you or spamming you or sending 18 emails. It's about who are the people that that really truly want to be in Christopher's tribe. And that's something that I'm learning. I'm not a big person that way. However, after having my Facebook suspended, it made me think about, things a little bit differently. And I want those people who are really truly wanting to take that action to get the result of being able to work with me at a discounted price, to check out those programs, give me some feedback on there, and just further work together. So thank you guys for allowing me to share that. Just again, go to ChristopherRausch.com. And if you go up to the contact page, it's all over the place. You can sign up. And then again, of course, you can check out all the different things that I do on there. So if you do that, I would appreciate it. So anyways, without any further ado, we got Robert in the house. What's up, Robert? He says, hi, Christopher. Good evening. We got Ryan Nurse in the house. Ryan, I got to talk to you, man. There's something that happened. Your show's going to be airing pretty soon. I apologize for that. There's a long story with that. But anyways, thank you, Ryan, for being here. Ryan's calling in from the UK. So thank you, Ryan, for being here. My guest tonight has been referred to me by my dear friend, Kellen Ann. She says, you got to have this guy on your podcast. You guys would flow real well. He's got a great attitude. He's got a great sense of enthusiasm. And the truth be told, again, I'm being so honest with you guys. Jesus, I'm not even wearing a lie detector. I've never met Steve. Normally, anybody who's on the Raw Unscripted show or the Unfiltered Experience, except for with Scott, I talk to those people before they come on the show because I want to make sure you guys get quality guests. I want to make sure you guys have value for your time because I know your time's important. So I always vet the guests who come on here. So I have not done that yet. And that's not a disclaimer to say he's going to be terrible. It's a disclaimer to say we're going to have a great time getting to know each other right now. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Raw Unscripted show, Mr. Steve Rizzo. What's up, Steve? What's going on, brother? How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing great. Then again, I have to say that because I'm a motivational speaker. So
yeah, you're a motivational speaker. Motivational speakers could say life sucks. I actually was going to write a title of a book was Confessions of a Motivational Speaker. God's honest truth, because I called myself a motivational speaker at one time, and I was like, and people would say to me, and you might get this, Steve, I might say, Chris, you're always so happy. You're always so enthusiastic. You're always so positive. It must be nice. And I'm like, you don't see me the other 23 hours of the day where I'm like fighting through depression. I'm fighting through different things, but I know the tools I need to incorporate in order to stay positive and to stay on track. Talk to us about that. How did you become a motivational speaker, and what was the impetus for that?
Well, I started out, and by the way, you probably agree with me. I don't like the term motivational speaker, but that's the only term I could use for people to understand what I do. I guess I'm more of an attitude adjuster, but we'll use motivational speaker. But I started out doing stand-up comedy for 20 some odd years.
Get out of town. Who's your favorite comedian?
Believe it or not. And I headlined clubs and theaters throughout the country. I had my own Showtime special. And at the very...
What was your special called?
It was called Showtime Comedy All-Star.
Showtime Comedy All-Star, right?
The guy that introduced me was Woody Harrelson.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Is it on YouTube? Is it?
You can get it. You have to just Steve Rizzo Showtime. I'm sure.
Oh, cool.
I look really different. I had hair then, and I had a long ponytail, and it was quite a different look. But at the pinnacle of my career, I decided to leave and to become a speaker, and it was quite a transition, and it's the best decision I ever made.
Why did you leave? Why did you leave comedy?
But the humor's still in my presentations,
Right. Why did you leave comedy?
It's. I was sabotaging my success.
Ooh, I'm good at that. Tell me about that.
Yeah, well, yeah,
I'm good at that.
Amazing. It started years ago. I was voted least likely to succeed in high school. I was told by a guidance counselor when I was in 8th grade that I wasn't smart enough to go to college. And not knowingly, those negative labels came with me in my adult life. You're not aware of it. They just become a part of who you are. And my philosophy in life, for a great part, was don't try and you can't fail. And dreams are for other people. And apparently I'm not one of them. Hung out with the wrong people. Quite a few of my friends are either passed on from drugs or alcohol abuse or even violence. And a few were in prison. So I did go to college after 5 years after high school, graduated with high honors and a degree in psychology and English and education, went back to the same school that I graduated from. And I became an English teacher and a counselor for kids with behavioral problems.
Wow. Check that out.
Yeah.
I love that.
And it was really weird, Christopher, as that was going on, comedy clubs started opening up on Long Island and New York. And I started delving into that a little bit at night. And I got really good at it and really fast, really good. And
what was your stick? What was your stick in comedy? What was your play?
I don't know. It was like I I think the absurdities of life.
Yeah.
I talk a lot about sex and how people make a big deal out of it, as great as it is. But yet, as great as it is, it was always a taboo in the minds of most people. And it's something you really shouldn't talk about at a dinner table, which I could never understand. So I pushed it and pushed it to the extreme.
My man.
Yeah. And what would it sound like if cartoon characters were at an orgy having sex and I would do that? And I just went way over the top on it, but it worked.
Yeah.
It worked. So I started getting a lot of work and I decided to leave the school system. And I was kicking ass. I was headlining clubs all over the theaters and comedy clubs. And my opening acts, before they were famous, Chris Rock opened for me.
Wow.
Seinfeld opened for me. Drew Carey, who was my roommate, opened for me. Dennis Miller, and a host of other people. And I noticed my opening acts were getting all the breaks. And I'm saying, why is an opportunity knocking on my door? And I realized I was just afraid to open the door.
Oh.
So my negative labels were coming back to haunt me. And I was sabotaging many great opportunities that were coming my way.
How were you doing that? How were you sabotaging?
Well, I was on the road a lot, and I'm probably on the road more than most comedians. But I had a management team, a good team, and a good agency, and a good publicist. And every time there was an audition in LA to try out for a sitcom or a movie part or a commercial, I always made an excuse that I couldn't do it because I was booked in Omaha, Nebraska or Chicago. And my management team was getting pissed off at me saying, you can't do this, because any comedian would drop the gig.
Sitcom? Hell yeah.
But I knew when you auditioned, yeah, really. But my philosophy was, and this is where the fear factor came in, it was better for me to be a big fish in a small pond than a little fish in an ocean.
Totally understand you.
Yeah. But Christopher, you know what it is? This is where the fear came in, because I had this thing with authority people and people judging me and looking at me. When you do an audition, the entire audience is their industry people. They don't let the public in. So everybody there is looking at you and eyeing you, and which didn't bother, I guess, most comedians, but it did for me. So I avoided that. And when I realized what I was doing, it hurt like hell. And I went on a quest to better myself. I'm making a very long story short here. And I went on a quest to better myself. And I read every self-help book you could think of. And I went to Tony Robbins seminars and spiritual retreats. And through the years, it took years, an incredible transformation was taking place. And I had this impeccable belief in myself. But ironically, that's when the entertainment industry was interested in me, but I was no longer as interested in them as I was. It's something inside of me kept saying, I got to do this speaking thing. And the tools that I use to turn my life around are the very tools that I use when I speak to my corporate clients and associations throughout the country. So
we're going to definitely talk about that, but I want to go back to little Steve. I want to go back and find out what kind of young man were you? Were you a funny guy? What kind of little boy were you? And what was your childhood like a little bit?
I was very funny. As a matter of fact, I hung out with the tough guys, but I was the funny guy that everyone really liked. And I used comedy humor as to counteract this fear that I was harboring most of my life. And it always made me fit in. No matter how inadequate I felt when I was funny, I always felt that I fit in. Yeah. I always fit in. And even in the classrooms, I was also voted class clown, even though I was voted least likely to succeed.
Were you pushing the sex jokes back in grade school?
Not really. No, it wasn't much that. Mine was just probably making fun of the teachers or whatever it was. I did great impressions, and I would imitate every teacher or the principal. And I would even imitate the principal as he was reprimanding me, and he never knew what the hell I was doing. So,
that's awesome.
Which made me laugh. But I took it with me, and I had this entertaining value. And when I went to college, my master's was in theater arts, and I always had the lead roles in the plays in college, and then I did a few plays off Broadway, and so that entertainer part was always there, and that was my gift. So
yeah, So what was it that caused you from going being that happy kid to being the kid that was doubting yourself? What situation was the one that kind of just made you start having those negative thoughts about yourself?
Well, you want knowing every time an opportunity came, I was afraid to fail. You know what I mean? So when
was that a parental thing? Was that you didn't want to let your parents down?
It was
my parents.
I guess it was teachers, and as great as my mom and dad were, they were very negative, and I understand it now because of the crap that they went through in their lives.
Yeah,
very tough. I mean, my father quit school when he was in 8th grade, became successful, but that fear factor, never having enough money, was there. So that stuff you're always bombarded with it. And you know, it's funny, a lot of people go through this and they can't understand why they can't get their break and they can't live the life that they want, because they're not aware of what's happening to them and where these negative labels, they don't even know they have negative labels. Yep. It's just the way they view life.
It's true.
And you can't fix something unless you know that it's broken. So it was the awareness that I knew something was broken. And I said, how did it get there? And what is it? And once I found out the why and the how and the what, then I said, well, you know what? That's the past. The past does not equal the future. I can turn this around. And like I said, Christopher, it didn't happen overnight. And I read a ton of books. And as a matter of fact, it was at a Tony Robbins seminar where it clicked. He was speaking to 4,000 people, and I'm looking at the command that this guy has, and that there were people, and he was pretty funny. And he had people just with tears in their eyes, and they felt so uplifted. And I remember picking up a pen, and I wrote on my paper, on my pad, I can do this. And then 20 minutes later, I picked it up again, unknowingly said, I should do this. And then a little while went by and I said, you know what? Damn that, I am going to do this. I still have that paper in glass on a frame now. And that was it. As soon as I wrote it out, I'm going to do this. That's when my decision came to leave stand-up.
And flip the fuck it switch. That's what I call it. My coach calls it. She goes, flip the fuck it switch.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Just get out of your own way.
I'll say fuck too. I love fuck. Okay.
Well, it's the Raw&Unscripted show. There's a disclaimer on the podcast that says it's not for people over 18. So we get about anywhere between 6 and 12-year-olds watching. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah. See, I'm a comedian too. No. We got Kellyanne in the house. She says, what's up? Hey, my favorite guys. What's going on? We got Johanna in the house. Thank you, Johanna, for being here. She goes, we have shitty days too. Yes, we do. Randy says, what's up, Steve? Do you know Randy?
Yes, I do know Randy.
I know Randy too. That's cool. Yeah. Robert says, here I am at the very little hair, but still ponytail stage. Well, cut that shit off, Robert. Cut that shit off. You know me, I used to have long hair and I cut it all off. Now I just shave it. Yeah. Randy says, Bob told you to. Oh, he knows where we're going with this. Got Jacqueline in the house. What's up, Jacqueline Rose? She says, hello, it is me. That sounds like the intro to a song from back in the 70s. Hello.
Todd Rugman.
Yeah, Tom Rugman. I'm a walking jukebox, baby. So fast forwarding a little bit, I like to set the stage for where my guests have been through challenging circumstances. And obviously the last 2.5 years of our lives with the pandemic and everything going on, and you being a motivational speaker, what have you learned about yourself and what have you learned about humanity over the last couple of years going through this in all the different things you've gone through in your life before?
Wow, that's such a great question. I don't have an answer, but it's a great question. It's I learned how important the strategies that I learned to become the person that I am as a speaker, how much they really work. Because 2020 hit, everything was canceled.
Yep.
Everything. My calendar was full. And then they would put more dates on the calendar. And 2021 was looking good. Everything was canceled because people today still, that fear factor is there. People are still afraid to sit in convention centers and conference rooms because they think the pandemic is still going to spur again. That's why
Florida's booming.
Excuse me?
That's why Florida's booming. I have a bunch of friends in my speaker industry, and they said Florida's like not afraid.
Exactly. But I learned resilience. I learned it's not what happens to you that determines how successful and how happy you're going to be. It's really what you do about what happens. It's the thoughts that you have about the challenge. It's the choices that you make. And I said, you know what? I'm going to reinvent myself. Now, mind you, Christopher, I am not tech savvy at all. I have people that do my social media, and I know Kellyanne is laughing her ass off right now because I call her for help every now and then. But I learned. I bought equipment. I bought lighting. I bought microphones, and I learned. And I have my own video podcast. Hey, I'm Talking Here, and it's new, but it's doing very well.
Nice.
I'm doing a lot of stuff, and I wrote. This is my 4th book that just came out. So I love this new me, and I learned how to give virtual presentations. And a lot of speakers have called me and say, "How can you be funny on a virtual presentation?" Because a comedian feeds off the laughter.
Yes, sir.
And when you don't hear it, how do you do it? You just got to know that you're funny.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You just
got to believe. You got to believe and trust. You got to be. Yeah, I've done the same thing.
But I did it, and what a trip it is to tap into a part of yourself. It's the higher part of yourself, your higher nature, your true self, your authentic self. When you tap into that, it's the ultimate empowerment. Where everyone else was going down, and a lot of people retired early in my business, and some of the bureaus were going out of business, agents quit, and I'm having a blast now. And I like where I loved traveling, and I'm not doing it as much now. I found another part of me, and I love being by myself more than I ever did. I love doing the stuff that we're doing. I love doing podcast after podcast, and I love sharing my experiences with other people, knowing that whoever is listening is going through the same stuff that I'm going through. They just have different stories to tell. And that's how you learn. You learn through what we're doing, what you're doing right now is how people can learn. Mm-hmm. And the more they get involved in stuff like this, the more they can, when they leave this, they're saying, hey, wow, if this person overcame that, I can do this too. And you know what's amazing about other speakers, though? And I'm not going to mention any names. I know guys that went through hell, and they're not going to talk about the hell that they went through. The drug addiction, the alcohol addiction. I said, why wouldn't you do that?
Yeah,
it's so well known. Yeah, right. Quick, think about this. If they told people what they went through, and these people in the audience are going, holy shit, if he went through that, I can do this too.
Amen.
But they're afraid to expose that part of themselves.
Why do you suppose that is? How can we help? How can we? Because I've been keen on this for a while. I'm not like 80% of my clients are all female, but over the last year, I've ran a clubhouse room just for men. My buddy Lee and I do it. And it's just a men's group. We're just there, helping men get vulnerable and get real with themselves, and have the wherewithal that vulnerability creates connection. That connection can create healing and different insights into people. Because I'm an open book. I tell people all the time, like, I struggle with depression. I have this. I deal with that. Alcohol, whatever. I'm always open because I feel like if people sit there and think I got it all figured out and I've got this amazing life. I'm like, yeah, I have an amazing life. However, but I still am human, and here's how I get through being human. Wow. And that's what people dig about the Raw and Unscripted show and about what I do is they're like, Chris, you're just real. And if more people were real, Steve, then we could have so many amazing more conversations. So how do we get people to be more vulnerable and realize that it's great to talk about what it is that you're experiencing?
Well, you just nailed it. They got to understand that they're only human. And when you become a person that's on the platform, a speaker, they don't like to lose that image that they're the go-to person. Mm-hmm. And some of them think they're godlike, and I'm not knocking them, but they have this persona that they have all the answers, and they don't want anyone to think that they're vulnerable in any way, not realizing how much more powerful they would be if they were vulnerable. And I even say this in my new book. There were always 2 gifts that I was given that I use as a speaker. My sense of humor and the art of storytelling. But then I realized the third and most important and the most powerful was being vulnerable. When I allow myself to expose that part of myself, and I let my attendees, my audience, know what I went through and what I'm still going through, you could just see the energy level. They're relaxed, and you'll even see some people doing this. Yep. Because they're saying, whoa, I had no idea. Because they looked at me as somebody like, wow, you have it together. And we all have shit to deal with.
True.
We all do. We all have the ups and downs. As a matter of fact, if you didn't have moments of feeling miserable, you wouldn't know what being happy means. It's the economy of life. You need, you need one extreme to really appreciate the other.
You need the yin and the yang, baby. You need the yin and yang. So talk to me, since I'm the no excuses coach. I like to ask my guests this. What are some of the excuses that you have dealt with in your life, and what have you done to get over them?
Oh, number one is blaming circumstances and other people.
Talk to me about that.
I used to blame my manager, or I used to blame my agent for not doing this, or for not sticking up for me, or for not getting me the right bookings. How come this guy got this? And, it's your ego talking. And I call the ego the big mouth inside your head. Some people call it the devil, which might be pretty appropriate, because if you listen to it, there will be hell to pay, And you talk to this big mouth, which is the louder part, who is always a part of you, and you ignore that higher part of yourself, which is the God part of you, which speaks to you silently, but is incredibly powerful. But once you start acknowledging that part of yourself, the big mouth doesn't have a chance at all. So I blame circumstances and situations. And it's when I started writing this book, when another evolution was taking place in me, where I realized that this book, and it says it in the book, is based on 3 principles. Number one, you need to know without a doubt that you are the creator of your success and happiness. Okay. What that means is, it's not what happens to you that determines how successful or how happy you're going to be. It's what you do about what happens. I already said that. The second principle is you need to know that you're the only problem that you will ever have. And somewhere within you, there is a solution always waiting to be discovered. You just have to learn how to get out of your way so the solution can reveal itself to you. And
so what's that first step of getting out of your way?
Yes. Excuse me?
What's the first step of getting out of your way?
Allowing yourself, instead of trying to beat the hell out of the problem or what's wrong, allow yourself some time to step away, to relax, to meditate, go for a walk, and let it go for a day or two. Because the more you pound on it, the more you feed it. You're feeding that negative energy. The more you feed the negative energy, the worse you think it is. Mm-hmm. And as human beings, our condition is to make challenging situations more difficult than it has to be. And which leads to the third principle. Whenever you're confronted with a challenge or a problem of any kind, it's never a matter of managing the situation. It's always a matter of how you manage your mind.
Yeah.
Can you manage your mind and those toxic thoughts and emotions and beliefs that are keeping you from finding the solution that's waiting to be discovered?
I love it, Steve. I love it. Yes, thank you for answering that, because I'm very big in excuses, because I think that, when we give ourselves an excuse, we're doing that form of self-sabotage, like you were saying before. Like, I don't have time, I don't have this. It's all about resources. It's all about how it is that we're becoming resourceful to become our best. And that's what I think about in life. My goal as a coach is to make you your best, like to take you from comfortably miserable to completely unstoppable and be able to fly your freak flag. That's what I tell people. That's one of my taglines. When you think about the fact that people say, Steve, I'm doing the best I can. Steve, I got this. I got that. Steve, I'm doing the best I can. What do you say to that? When people say they're doing the best they can, do you have a response to that?
I look at them and I say, yeah, because I do give workshops sometimes. And sometimes people don't like to hear the crap I say to them. I said, I've known you well enough now to know that you think you're doing your best, but I'm telling you got to do some more deep-rooted thinking, because there are things about yourself that you're not admitting. And you're sabotaging your own happiness and success, because you're still putting blame on society, or whatever the situation may be, your husband, your wife, your mom and dad, your boyfriend, girlfriend, your boss, or whatever. There's always an excuse. You can always use an excuse. But when you do that, you'll never come to the core of the problem, which is something within you.
Something within you. So how can you measure your best? Because I think in terms of how being able to measure what my best is, I think blood, sweat, and tears is one of them. What's a good way to measure if we've done our best or if we're doing our best?
Well, I can tell you do this, and I don't even know you, but I already know that you do this. The way you can determine your best is to become aware that you're not being your best. Awareness is the key all the time. If you're not aware that you're screwing your life up somehow, some way, if you're not aware that you could have done a better job, you don't know that something's broken. And it's like I said earlier, if you don't know something's broken, you don't feel there's a need to fix it. Or if you don't know what's broken, you can't fix it. You have to know what it is. And you have to go along through the course of your day, every day, and just say, wow, that didn't work. What did I do that I could have done better?
Yeah.
Well, who can
Reflecting,
I go to?
self-reflective questions.
Exactly.
And then be honest with yourself in the answers. That's the key.
Yeah.
To be totally honest.
Yeah.
So with your journey and the things you've been through, Steve, how important has it been to you to have mentors and coaches and guides in your life to be able to sometimes tell you the things that you don't want to hear? Like, I think of myself as the no excuse coach, of course. And so people, I'd sit there and tell them exactly what they don't want to hear, but they need to hear. Same thing for me. I have those mentors and people in my life. Who is that for you? Who's been the mentors and the people who've been able to point things out to yourself? And has that been important for your growth?
Oh, absolutely. And it's not necessarily mentors, but there have been a few, but it's everyday people, friends, family. I'm divorced now, but I was married for 34 years and I've been divorced.
Congratulations.
Yeah, I've been divorced now 5 years. So I have been divorced, married 35 years, but now it's over. But my ex-wife was one person that always put me in my place.
Did you like that?
Oh, I'm serious. And just, it was just bam. And that's what it would hit me. Like, for instance, if I was whining about something I thought I should have gotten, a booking that I should have gotten, or something that should have happened, she'll hear me going through half the day complaining about it. And she'll give me one of my books and said, do me a favor, don't leave the table until you read your own book and look at chapter 3. Wow.
That's nice.
Oops. Oh, yeah.
I'll take my humble pie now.
Yep. Exactly. Yeah. It's things like that. Friends just telling you stuff. Hey, you could have said that a little lighter. You could have said that a little easier. Or, maybe you should lighten up. Maybe you should go for a walk for a while, or take a vacation, or whatever. And there were a few mentors. Tony Robbins was a big mentor for me. Huge.
What lessons did he teach you?
Well, it's just, he walks the talk more than anyone I know.
Did you see the documentary, You're Not My Guru?
Yeah.
What'd you think?
It was powerful.
Yeah.
It was powerful, but it wasn't him at his best. I don't think. I don't think. And he put up a lot of scrutiny, and he still does sometimes from a lot of people. But I have mentors that I never met from books that I read. My dear friend Jeffrey Gitomer. I don't know if you know who Jeffrey is.
Yep, absolutely.
The Book of Sales. He's one of my closest friends, and he doesn't even realize. But my biggest mentor of all times is my older brother Michael, who's 100% disabled from the Vietnam War.
Oh my God, I'm sorry.
The only man in medical history that ever survived that wound. He's in medical journals as someone who beat the odds. And someday, if I ever on your show again, we could just spend the whole time talking about his story. But what he did, how he not just survived, but thrived with this wound, is absolutely incredible. As a matter of fact, a lot of the strategies that I use, I learned not by what he told me, and he never told me anything. I just learned from his actions, the actions that he took. Yeah.
Are you able to share a little bit of a story if you want? If you feel inclined, I can ask you other questions, but
it's a long story.
It's a long story. No worries. So let's see. What have we talked about? Let me think. So what did you learn from your divorce? You can tell I like learning about what people learn. Sometimes it helps me too.
I'm the one that made the decision. Okay. And I'm being vulnerable again.
Nice.
Because sometimes it hits a spot. And I learned, after beating the shit out of myself for so many years, how could I do this? Why did I do this? Because it was devastating, not just for her, but for me. I learned, and recently I learned it, that sometimes making the right decision can be the most painful thing you'll ever do.
Oh, say that again, Steve. That's powerful. I want people to hear that.
Sometimes making the right decision can be the most painful thing you'll ever do.
I have been there too, brother.
Yeah.
I have been. Yeah. I would be in a pine box or a jail cell right now if I didn't make one of the toughest decisions I ever made in my life.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Another tough decision for me was leaving stand-up at the pinnacle of my career. Christopher, when I say that the industry was really into me, and now all of a sudden I'm going, I want to do something else. It was, I had a lot of fear. I remember I had an argument with Drew Carey, my roommate, and he told me, you can't You can't leave. This is before he was famous now, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And he goes, you can't leave now. You're so close. And I went, what do you mean close? How can I be close to something that I don't want anymore? I got to do this. He goes, but you don't know how to do this. And I said, I know. And I didn't know. And that's where the fear came in. But I made the decision. It was very painful. But when you follow your heart, serendipitous things come to you that'll blow your mind, will blow your opportunities that you would never fathom when you truly follow your heart's desire. And you're telling fear, I know you're there and you're going to be there for a long time, but I'm still doing this. I'm still doing this. Yeah.
Flick it off your shoulder.
Exactly.
Bob, or let me think. Steve, let me thank you for being here, for being vulnerable. I appreciate that. That's the whole thing here in the Raw and Unscripted show, is just me and you having this conversation and being able to help people. So thank you for sharing that, and thank you for sharing everything else. Sure. Let's get into it. So talk to us about the process of writing your third book. Tell us about the first two books, what they're about, what their titles are, and then talk to us about this new book, the title, and let's kind of get into that for a little while.
Sure. My first book that I wrote, which is out of print now, I'm going to bring it back again, was called Becoming a Humor Being.
Becoming a humor being.
A humor being. Got great testimonials for that one. Tony Robbins, Marianne Williamson, John Gray.
Wow.
Yeah, a lot of Wayne Dyer. A lot of really heavy people gave me testimonials there. So that gave me courage to write another book. The next book, which did very well, was called Get Your Shift Together. And the third book was Motivate This. And the next book is the newest book, which took me 9 years to write, is Conversations with Bob, a timeless, entertaining dialogue for living an extraordinary life. It took me 8 years to write it. The best thing I ever did. This is the reason why I was put on this planet.
Wow, that is a powerful testimonial right there. What was that process like? What did it take so long? And talk to us about that process of going through your mind and writing this.
Well, as I said, I'd been divorced for a while, but I left before the divorce was final. And it was 7 years ago. And I got up from living my house on Long Island. And it was really weird, Christopher, because a lot of your viewers might not even believe this, but I woke up one morning and I looked at my ex-wife sleeping in separate rooms. And she knew we were going through this divorce and I was still living there. I said, I'm moving to California and I'm leaving in 2 weeks. I didn't even know where I was going to go, how I was going to get there, but I did have friends there. I just knew I had to leave. And I knew I had to go as far as I possibly could from New York, and California was probably one of the furthest places outside of Hawaii, and I wasn't going to go there. So I called some friends up. They set me up and I rented an apartment for 2 years in Marina Del Rey. And I had to face my demons. My negative labels came with a vengeance again. I was a pretty well-known speaker at the time. Things were cranking. And, but I felt as I was on stage that I wasn't walking my talk. There I am telling people that they can be happy regardless of their circumstances. You're just focusing on the wrong stuff. And I'm talking about success. And I'm, when I'm alone in my hotel room, I'm going, geez, I can't do this anymore. I mean, as I say in the book, would you trust a lifeguard that can't swim? You know,
that's a great analogy.
You just can't.
Yeah.
So I always exercise. That always helped me. I've done that since I was 13 years old. Mm-hmm. And I'm working out at this 24-hour gym right near Marina Del Rey. And when I would work out at 4:30 in the morning, I would take a walk on the beach. And this was about maybe 5:30 in the morning. One morning, the sun's coming up, and I lost it. I lost it. I mean, tears, and I'm cursing it at God. I'm yelling. If anyone would have heard me, they would have called the police, and they would have thought that
you just like lost your shit. You're saying this out loud. 5:30 in the morning. I'm a picture person. I'm a picture person.
I'm yelling at the ocean. I'm yelling at the sun. I'm yelling at everything, and I'm exhausted. And
what kicked that off? What kicked that moment off? What was the conversation going on in your mind? When
I had that negative curse talk.
Okay.
This negative curse. I call it self-curse talk. You're screwing up your life. How could you do this to yourself? Why would you leave? And blah, 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 blah. Then all of a sudden I took one step And I said, what the hell is wrong with me? And what am I doing here? No sooner had I said that, Christopher, I heard something within me say, you know why you're here and you know what's wrong. You're just too caught up in your own drama to find the answer. I don't want,
whoa, I got chills.
I got in my car. I drove back to my apartment in Marina Del Rey. I took up my laptop, took up my pen. Because I knew that was a higher part of me answering me. I knew it was the God part. I knew it.
The whisper.
It was my inner Bob, as it's called now. And I run and I typed in another question, and then another answer came. Then another one. I was there for hours and hours, and it wasn't long.
You're typing in a question into the computer.
Yeah, and
your Bob is answering it.
Exactly.
Okay. Just want to make sure.
I'm asking another question. All of a sudden, another answer's coming. Then another question. Then another answer's coming. I'm going, what is going on here? And I was in this zone. You know, when you're in the zone, I'm not even aware that I'm doing this for 5 hours.
Flow state.
I let it go. I was exhausted. I went back to it the next day, and the next day, and before you knew it, I was writing a book. And as I said, it took me 7 years. And the reason why it took me 7 years, because every time I thought I was finished, Bob kept saying, no, you're not.
Yeah.
There are more lessons that you have to learn. So everything that I know about my life and what I believe can help other people is in this book.
And you personally experienced all of that.
As a matter of fact, Randy that just was on before.
Yeah, Chaffee.
He bought a book. I sent a book to his son. And I'm getting wonderful reviews on Amazon. And it's just a reconfirmation, because you never know how anything's going to work, you know, and it's just a reconfirmation that it was worth the 7 years, and then putting it aside and then having another experience that I had to wait until I experienced it and learned the lesson before I can continue writing. And Bob would wake me up at 2 a.m, 3 a.m, and I would have a conversation with him there and go, shit, can't you wait until I wake up in the morning like normal people?
I'm still a human. I sleep. God damn it. You know?
No, and there were times when I look like shit that I'm writing, but it's finished now. And I'm halfway through book 2. So.
Okay. I've got a couple of questions I got to ask before my brain pops. Has your ex-wife read the book?
I think she has. I know she saw she saw an advertisement on Facebook somewhere, and she's so gracious as always, and we still get along. You know, she's remarried now. She wrote a heartwarming note and said, I hope it's a bestseller, and I knew that was coming from her heart.
Yeah.
And of course I cried when I read that.
Nice. Nice.
But
then my other question is, and thank you for answering that, were you a religious person or a spiritual person before all this took place? Or was this kind of another?
I know I was on a spiritual quest, a great part of my life since the early 80s. Very rarely a religious person. I was raised Catholic, but I never considered myself a Catholic since my early 20s. I did it because that's the way I was raised. But I realized there was something wrong with that for me. And this is not a religious book, as it states in the book, but it is a very spiritual book.
Great.
It's about connecting to your inner Bob, whoever your Bob may be, and how God gets the name Bob. I'm not going to tell you. You're going to have to read the book.
He's giving us a teaser, guys. That's awesome.
Yeah, but I'm very spiritual. I know there's a higher part of all of us.
Mm-hmm.
And this shows you how the law of attraction really works and why it works. And it doesn't show favorites. It doesn't know right from wrong, true or false, or fair or unfair. It only knows the information that you give out to yourself, the thoughts. What you think is what you get is so true. It could be frightening.
That's my coach. My coach was just saying that last Wednesday, literally last Wednesday. We were talking about something I was going through and flipping the fuck it switch. We got some more people in the house. We got Race Secreghost in the house. What's up, Race? Is Misfits for Life. I appreciate you being here, buddy. Robert, you're writing a book. I'm gonna have to go back and read yours because they all usually flow together. Jacqueline says the kick-ass Irish woman is in the house listening to the two great dudes. Thank you for being here. Appreciate you. Let's see. We've got Lynn Serrano in the house. She says, hi guys, it's Lynn Serrano. Much love to you both. shared. Appreciate you. Thank you. I'm not sure why it's this Facebook user, but we got Katie McNamer in the house. What's up, Katie? Great to see you. Thank you. Let me know how you're doing. Katie and I had a great conversation recently. She says, love this conversation. Powerful. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. We got Amen Steve. I believe that's from Lynn. And we got Randy Chaffee saying 75 pages in, outstanding. Yes, I will be getting that book as well. I usually try to read the books before before I interview my guests, but I am literally reading like 3 books. I'm in charge of a book club, and then I just reading another book on my Kindle for somebody else that I'm proofreading for, and I'm just like, but I will definitely be getting this. In that process, have you heard of the hero's journey?
Oh yeah.
Okay, Joseph Campbell story.
Oh yeah.
So explain that, because I explain this a lot on my show. I talk about this a lot. I tell people to go watch the Joseph Campbell story. It's on YouTube. It's an hour and 23 minutes or something like that. Phenomenal. It's free. Go watch it. Yes. But talk to the people listening and watching this right now about the hero's journey and how that relates to the writing of the book, because I see that absolute correlation.
First of all, I love what you do and the way you do it. You are just so good at what you do. I mean, this is a trip for me, because of what we're meshing here, and that's a good thing. That's a great thing. But just what you said, and I know there's a higher connection here, I can tell by just what you just said. Years ago, when this book was being written, I was very careful on who I gave it to read. And I gave it to a friend of mine, and he read it in its early stages, and he was just blown away by it. And he said, he knew what I was going through. And he said, Steve, you're on the hero's journey. You're on the hero's journey. He goes, I'm going to tell you something right now. This book isn't finished yet, and it's not going to be finished for a while, and you're not going to like to hear this, but your inner Bob is going to tell you when it's ready, when he thinks that this part of your journey is over. He goes, you're living the journey. And what the journey is for me and for everyone is the trials and tribulations that we all go through. And it's again, and I know this sounds repetitious, but you need to know this. It really isn't what happens to us that determines how successful and how happy we're going to be. It's really what we do about it. It's the choices we make. It's the thoughts we have about the challenge. And it's also about suffering. You have to be able to suffer. We have this thing in this country where something tragic happens and they have to say, I have to keep my emotions intact. No, you don't. You have to feel the pain. That's part of the hero's journey.
Yes.
You have to feel it, because suffering, the death of a loved one, the death of a child, the death of your spouse, the death of a friend, the losing of a job, whatever it is, suffering is part of the healing process, because you're actually acknowledging that, wow, I'm hurting. You're acknowledging your true feelings. Why would you want to stifle that? But having said that, another part of the hero's journey is, yes, suffering may be unavoidable, but just suffering can be avoided. And it's different for everyone. The time span of suffering is different. But what I'm saying is, occasionally you have to take a sacred time out and find the things that you're grateful for as simultaneously as you're suffering. Yep. And we could all do that, but it's different for everyone. And once you acknowledge it, and you could say, wow, yes, and I know this could be hurting a lot of people, and it can touch a lot of people, but if someone close in your family passes away unexpectedly or even tragically, in time, you're going to have an opportunity where you could acknowledge other people in your family, another son or a daughter that you have, and you might say, oh my God, I'm so grateful that I have this one.
Yes.
I'll always feel the pain for this, but I am so grateful for this one. I am so grateful, maybe at some point where I was able to feel that much pain to love that much. And when you do that, you're igniting that higher part of yourself, which is saying to you, life still goes on within you and without you. And it's your choice to focus on what could put you in a better place. And it's not disregarding that you're always going to feel that pain, but in time, it shifts to a different realm, and you're able to manage it. You're able to manage that pain. It's always going to be there, and you're always going to hear that song or that smell, or someone's going to say something that will remind you of that person. And allow yourself that time to weep, to feel it, but then know I got to go back to life again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I got to. And another way looking at this is think of the person who is deceased and think that you will be honoring them by living your life to the fullest.
1,000%. I say that to people all the time. The best way you can honor somebody who's passed away is live in their honor by what you think they would want you to do right now. Would they want you? And I did that personally. It's funny you mentioned that, Steve. I was driving home from my ex-sister-in-law's funeral. I still call her my sister. She was my ex-wife's sister. And I gave the eulogy at her funeral. And I was driving home and I was like, I'm going to go home and drink and smoke and just have a pity party. And I was just so fresh. She was 33 years old. She had a 3-year-old son. She was taken suddenly. And I was, having one of those moments, I guess, talking to God and like, what the fuck, blah, 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 blah. I'm just going to go home and, party and just my way of processing. Right. And I sat there and I looked at the seat next to me. God's honest truth. Looked at the seat next to me and I thought, oh, and I get chills every time I talk about this. If Tiffany were sitting here right now, what would she say? Would she say, yeah, Chris, go home and get all fucked up and da, da, da. I'm in a better place, Chris. How about go home and call some people you haven't talked to in a while? How about go home and journal? How about go home and write a poem? How about go write a letter to me? Go do something productive. Don't let my death be something that you're mad and you're sad about. Go out there and use my life to go lift other people up. And God's honest truth, I went home. I think I had a couple of drinks, but my perspective was like, and ever since then, Steve, I've handled that and I've helped people handle that in such a way, not perfect, but in such a way they're like, would that person want you to be this miserable right now? Yes or no? No. Okay. What would that person say to you right now if they were sitting right here? You knew you're going through this. What would they say right now? They would tell me this. Okay. Would you take their advice? Yes or no? Yes. Okay. And I walk them down a path to try to get them to a point where they're okay. At least I'm stable, because a lot of people are unstable when people pass. But man, this has been a powerful, powerful conversation. Thank you so much for being here. I definitely want to have you back and talk about your brother's story and exemplify his honor and what he's done for the United States and our freedoms. What are some final thoughts that you want to roll into everything of what we talked about tonight, and where can people, and then let people know where they can get a hold of you and get a hold of your book?
All right. My mission, as I think for the rest of my life, is to get the message that is in the book, to let you all know that we are all more powerful than we can possibly imagine, and that there is a part of us that we can commune with and talk to at any time you want to. And this book shows you how to connect and communicate with that higher part and how to stifle the big mouth inside your head. The book is about two people, your inner Bob and Bernie. Bernie lives in the negative zone. It's a funny book. Bob is hysterical. And you could purchase the book and find out all about the book and go to yourinnerbob.com. Yourinnerbob.com. There are little excerpts from the book that you could read before you purchase it. And there are video clips that you can clip onto that I call the Word According to Bob, where you'll hear different messages that are within the book. And all I ask, if you really, really like it, and I believe you will, is just to give a review on Amazon. If we all do this and work together, we're all a part of spreading this message out to people.
Hell yeah. And they can also get a hold of you. It's you got your YouTube page, right? Your Inner Bob. No, that's yourinnerbob.com. We got that one. And then we got steverizzo.com, right?
That's my website, steverizzo.com. Yes, please. Thank you.
Cool. Yeah, I want to make sure I got those two in there. Okay. Thank you so much, Steve, for being here. And really, just more importantly, I just want to thank you for your honesty and your transparency. I know I've asked you some tough questions tonight. You didn't bat an eyelash. You answered them all. And I applaud you for that. And I appreciate that, because my audience, the people that watch this show and follow the show and listen to the show, that's what they appreciate. They appreciate that connection. They appreciate that servitude that you have gone through those journeys. So thank you, brother, for being on here. We'll definitely we'll arrange a conversation. Perhaps, what we'll do? We'll have you on my Unfiltered experience and we'll talk about your brother's show. And my co-host on that one, Scott, can get a chance to meet you as well.
That'll be great. And you really are really good at what you do. And I appreciate you so much. And I'm looking forward to being on your show again.
Cool. Thank you. I'm going to put you in the backstage. Don't go anywhere. I'm going to connect with you after the show. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Holy shit. Did we cover a lot of territory in 45 minutes, 54 minutes? We just covered a lot of territory. Put in the comments what it was for you about what Steve said that ignited something in your heart tonight. Think about it. Put it in there. What was it that Steve said, or maybe something I said, that really gets you to think about your life differently. And that's what the show's all about. That's what this conversation is all about, is how you can sit there and take what Steve and I were talking about and go, hey, let me ask myself that question. Again, pen and paper, write this shit down, because if you're just coming here and getting inspired and going, oh, that was a great show. Oh my God, it was another great show, Chris. But you go back to your normal life and you continue to do the same shit over and over again, then you're insane. Then you're kind of stupid. I just hate to say that, but don't do the same shit over and over again, expecting, hoping, wishing, and praying that something's going to change. What Steve said tonight, that last part, talking about that hero's journey and talking about, he said he knew he had to write this book at each period and point in his journey. I can align with that so much. And each and every one of you, I'm sure, can as well. We think that once we get done with this particular challenge or obstacle, then life is going to be easy. You think about when we're kids, they sit there and say, oh, get good grades in school and go to college and buy a house and have a family. And then one day you get to what? You get to what? What? I get to retire? Oh, okay. I get to retire. Oh, the Mecca. I won't have any problems anymore. I'll have all the money in the world. I can eat M&Ms and I can watch the Jetsons and I can lay around in my underwear. That's what retirement is? No, there is no retirement. There is only opportunities for us to face the challenges that come into our life and say, hey, listen, I got two choices. I can be part of the solution or I can be part of the problem. I can run from it or I can face it. I can stand up to it and sit there and have resiliency and find out what the best is I could possibly do. What is my best? What is your best? What is your best? Blood, sweat, and tears? Get up an hour early, go to bed an hour late, do something on your lunch hour, cut 15 minutes out of here and there and do something. What is it that you have to do differently in order to get different results? I can't do that for you. I can inspire you. I can tell you all sorts of questions to ask yourself. I can give you books to read. I can give you podcasts to do. But my point is this, unless you take action on those things, and that's what Steve was talking about. He took action. He heard a whisper and said, fuck, I'm going to move to California. I'm going to get an apartment and be ready to Del Rey. I'm going to do these things. He went and followed that whisper. He went and followed that. He didn't listen to his logical mind and go, well, I guess I should probably get a job right now. And I should probably go buy, another house and go. He's like, what does my whisper say? I'm going to go with it. I'm going to go with it. How often do you ever go with it? How often do I ever really go with it? I mean, I go with it a lot, actually, to be honest with you. That's just the way I live my life. Raw and unscripted. But my point is this. Where is it that you're going? Who is it that you're becoming? When are you going to write your book? What book are you going to write? Write your life story for damn sure, because that is going to be an amazing opportunity. I'm almost done. Actually, just to tell you, I stare at it now. This is the mock-up color. This is the mock-up cover. It's just you and me, kid. Ooh, look at that. Christopher Rausch, Raw&Unscripted. That's a big old book. Yeah. Truth be told, Dave Grohl's on the back of it. This is a mock cover. So anyways, you got to write your book. My book's going to be out later this year. And like I said at the top of the show, if you missed the top of the show, go check it out. My website's up there. Anybody who is in my newsletter, again, go to ChristopherRausch.com, hit the contact page, sign up, get in the newsletter. Anybody who's in my newsletter will get immediate access, or not immediate access. We'll get access to the new courses and the programs that I'm putting together. You'll get first dig at it. You'll get first opportunity at a way reduced price. It's just my way of saying thank you, giving you an opportunity to check it out. Give me feedback on it. So those people that are in the newsletter will get the first crack at it. And then people in my social media will get a crack at it as well. It's just my way of making sure that those of you who really are interested in what Christopher has to offer are a part of my group. I love you guys. I appreciate you. Come back here again every single Tuesday night, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And again, I'll put the link for the podcast in there, but whatever podcast, just go type Raw and Unscripted podcast. You'll find it everywhere. And please subscribe to it. Subscribe. Even if you don't listen to it, because I know you watch it here because you got the distraction to go here, to go there. Anyways, Kellyanne, thank you so much, darling. I look forward to catching up with you on Friday. We were supposed to meet today, but we both have crazy schedules and clients to serve. She says, epic. Epic. Did you hear what Steve said about me? Oh my God. I'm going to go back and play that again. Ray says, amazing. I appreciate you. I appreciate you. And yes, Robert, you're a little bit all over the map. I was reading your posts, and I appreciate you, man. I appreciate you. I love you. Bring your freak flag to the show every single week. I appreciate you, brother. Whatever I can do to support you, you know, I'm in your corner. We got Eric Ferguson. Love you, brother. Sorry I missed this. Yes, you didn't miss it because you can go back and listen to it again, and you can watch it again because it's on replays forever, ever, and always. I love you guys. Go out there and be brilliant. We'll see you next time on the Raw and Unscripted show. By the way, I'm going to Italy next Tuesday. Got some recorded shows coming up for you. I love you guys. Peace. Stay classy. Stay kick-ass. And we're out. Are we out yet?